Let's see. Oh. Hi. I just playing a little game here. I thought I would, I don't know if you've ever played MASH. I, I never did. I was way too cool for this whenever I was growing up, but I knew it was some people who did play, and yeah, I mean it's a pretty simple game. You write out the things that you think you might want. MASH is what it starts with. MASH, mansion, apartment, shack, house. Then you got the different categories. So what would you want to do for your side hustle whenever you grow up? What state would you want to live in? What car would you want to drive? What job would you want to have? What's your career? And then you kind of go through the deal. You draw a little circle. Somebody says stop, and obviously I got busted by you, so I had to stop. So then you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6. So then every, in this case with the spiral, every sixth answer you would mark off. So I guess we'll go ahead and do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, well, looks like I won't be living in Texas. And let me tell you that I'm okay with that, honestly. Seriously, whenever I was growing up, I thought, I gotta move out of Oklahoma. And Texas is pretty cool. It's like on our southern border. It's a big state, and when I'm young, I thought it was pretty awesome. But then I started to grow up and traveled to Texas, in and out of Texas, and man, it's just chaos. The highway systems, the traffic, the different. I mean, there's always some construction, something going on. The cost of living is high, and I just crossed that off the list. So I'm kind of glad this worked out this way. But let's just keep going. We got 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, no El Camino for me. I knew a guy in high school who drove an El Camino. And man, I always thought his El Camino was so awesome. And I always wanted my neighbor growing up to the east of our house, Mr. Floyd, which is weird. My dad's name is Floyd. Mr. Floyd, he had this El Camino out in front of his house. And I loved that car when I was growing up. But the more I think about it now, I'm a little older. It's not very practical. There's no back seat, so where are my kids going to sit? And the truck bed's not big enough to put anything in. So, it's kind of glad that one's marked out too. But we got 6. All right, so 6 here. Let me write that down so I don't forget it. I don't think I'll forget, but just in case. Let's keep going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, no apartment. Whew, let me tell you, Emily's going to be happy about that because we lived in an apartment for a little bit. And it was, yeah. I mean, some people it works out really well. For us, we did not enjoy it at all. We had noisy upstairs neighbors. Their dogs went to potty out on the balcony, and so it dripped down into our patio. It was a bad deal. So, yeah, no apartment for me. Kind of glad that one's marked out there. But let's keep going. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Skip that one. 4, 5, 6. Okay, computer programmer. Not going to be a computer programmer whenever I grow up, which is great because I'll be honest with you, math is not my strong suit. If you met me whenever we first came, almost a year ago now, we've almost been here a year, it's like 10 months now. If you met me, you probably heard me talk about how I kind of wanted to be a computer programmer whenever I was coming through high school. And, then I got into college and I kind of started on that path. And, oh man, I realized how much math was involved. And I realized that was not for me at all. In fact, I despised it, and I did not want any part of it because of the math part. It just was so difficult. So let me tell you, I'm really glad that that's marked out so I don't have to worry about being a computer programmer, I'll be honest with you. Okay, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, no English tutor for me. I know we got some English fans up in this house. Yeah, whenever I went back and decided that computer programming was not for me, I decided that I was going to be an English teacher. And I thought, man, this is going to be great. I speak English, so that's good. I'm a decent writer. I can knock out a paper pretty quick. And then I went and and taught. And I'll be honest with you, my grammar's terrible. My punctuation is weak. I overuse the ellipsis, like the 3 dot thing. I think that's what it's called. See, I'm definitely not an English teacher for sure. Or else I would just be able to come up with that off the top of my mind and be sure about it. I think that's right, but I'm not certain. So no English tutor for me, which is great because I'll be honest with you, I don't think I would be very good at it. I like working with students, but not in that sense. English is just not my thing, I don't think. But yeah, I mean, we could keep going through this whole deal and come up with something. But really, when it all boils down to it, those are our plans. Those are our dreams. Those are our thoughts. Those are the things that we think that we would be good at, or the plans that we have. That's not really what we want to talk about tonight. A matter of fact, I want to think about this in a totally different way. Because if you would have told me whenever I really thought that computer programming was the number one thing in my mind, if you would have told me, hey, no computer programming for you, that would have been devastating. Because that was my goal. My goal was to be a computer programmer. And so that would have just been a punch in the stomach for you to tell me, no, you can't do that. That's not going to be what you do. And that's my plan. That's my goal. That's my strategy. That's where I want to move forward. And that's not what God had planned for me. But if you would have told me my first, second year of college that wasn't what I was going to do, that would have hurt really bad. If you would have told me, no, you're not going to live in Texas, I would have been offended. I would have been like, who are you telling me what to do, what I can and can't do, where I can and can't live? I don't think that that's a great idea for you to tell me what I can and can't do. And it would have been devastating. It would have been crushing. My goal, you're telling me I can't reach my goal. I can't achieve that goal. And that would have just really hurt my feelings. Okay, El Camino. At the time, whenever I thought El Caminos were cool, if you were to tell me, hey, one of these days you're not going to win El Camino. Well, that doesn't fit with my pattern. In my mind, I'm thinking, this is what I want. You can't tell me what I can and can't have or can and can't want. And here you are doing that anyways. I just, and English tutor, the fact that I now recognize like English is not like the thing that I really want to be involved in. As far as teaching it, I like speaking it, but teaching it, that would have been like, well, that's my plan. That's my pattern. That's my thought process. That's the direction in which I want to go. I've never wanted to live in an apartment. It works for some people, but for me, I'm just not. It's not high on my priority list. I've been there, done that, and decided that, yeah, I was pretty much right. I don't want to do that. But, you look at the other things on here, like if you want to live in Washington, if you've ever visited the Washington State area, it's beautiful mountains and just walking everywhere is so cool. And I'm talking about metropolis areas, you get to walk everywhere, trains and different things like that. It's pretty awesome. I wrote down here rodeo clown. I don't know if you saw that or not, but I don't think that would be very fun. But I have a friend who does rodeo clowning, and he loves it. He's great at it, and that's where he's a pastor too. Tyler McDowell, love you, buddy. I know I haven't talked to you in a while, but I appreciate you. Just keeping up with you on Facebook and all that. And so he does rodeo clowning some, and he enjoys it. I couldn't do it. That's just not who I am. That's not built into me. Handyman stuff, I love to do that, but I like to do it at my house. I don't necessarily want to do everybody's plumbing. I don't even like doing plumbing and that kind of stuff. Fixing sinks and unclogging drains and, I like doing that stuff. I want to do it at my house, but I want to do it at your house. So there are so many different things that we can look at and we think, this is what the world tells us is good. Living in a mansion. The world tells us that would be awesome to live in a mansion. Let me tell you, I'm not the, I am not the clean king of Blanchard, Oklahoma. You can ask Emily. I'm terrible at cleaning. That's not one of my strong suits. And so if I were to live in a mansion, Emily would be extremely stressed out all the time because it would be messy and she would have to be the one to clean it, or she would have to be the one getting on to me all the time to help her clean. I do certain things from time to time. I love working outside and the mowing the grass. That's my thing. Whenever I remember to take out the trash, Whenever I think, oh, okay, I need to empty the sink and put in the dishwasher, empty the dishwasher, and make sure everything's hand washed and ready to go. But rarely. I mean, I'm just not good at that stuff. I don't see those kind of things. And so there are a lot of things that this world tells us are good. There's a lot of things that this world tells us, this is the way you should go. This is the pattern you should face, or not face, but base your life goals on. And whenever it all boils down to it, for me, none of this works out. None of it makes any sense. None of it is what I want to do. But if you were to tell me then, whenever this was an idea that I had, whenever this was a thing in my mind that I thought might be good for me and might be a part of my plan, if you were to tell me then what I know now and how I feel now, I would have told you you're totally wrong. It would have devastated my world for you to prove to me, like, this is true, 100% true. It would have been devastating. Because in the moment, everything is so right in your face. It's like right there. This is the moment that you live your life in. I want to read this scripture to you. Romans chapter 12, just verse 2. It's a very common verse. It's one that you've heard time and time again if you've been involved in church for any amount of time. You've heard this verse multiple times, but I want to think of it in a way that may be kind of new to you. I don't know. Maybe you've thought of this before. But if you haven't, I want to kind of let you wrap your mind around this. Romans chapter 12, verse 2, it says, "Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect." What is good and acceptable and perfect. Here's the way I want you to look at this. And I'm not saying this is exactly what this verse says, but I want you to look at it in this way. We all have a plan. And we all have standards. And the world sets the bar for us. And the world puts forth these things that we're supposed to achieve, these achievements we're supposed to make. And if we hit this mark, then we can feel good about ourselves. Or if we set a plan in place and then we make it to let that plan happen, then we've made it and everything's good. You're still young. Even me at 37 years old, there's a lot of things that I plan and I put forth an effort to reach. And a lot of those things, they just don't happen. And if I were to allow myself to think that this plan, that this purpose, that this pattern, do not be conformed to this world, a lot of translations say the patterns of this world, this idea of cookie cutter mindset. This happens, this happens, this happens. And if you take all of that out, if you were to say that none of that matters, that's not real, that's not something you need to live your life by. And if we live our life in the mindset that if we don't hit those goals, if we don't hit those marks, if those things don't happen, it would be devastating to us. It would change everything about our mindsets. Even in my mind now, 37 years old, I set forth a plan and it doesn't work. I get kind of upset from time to time. It just is what it is. It's human nature. But this says, do not be conformed to this world, but transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. This, again, I want to remind you, I'm not saying that this is exactly what this verse is saying, but I want to break down this last part and let you wrap your mind around that. Okay, the patterns of this world are something that we do, and we think that it's what needs to happen. This world has given us a plan. This world has given us a series of events that we're supposed to hit and make these marks. But that's not where we need to base our truth off of. We need to be transformed by the renewal of our mind, that God is coming into our life. He's changing everything about who we are. Our nature, our very nature is sinful. And for God to come into our life and for him to rewrite our entire script, what we think is true and what the world is telling us is true, breaking all these patterns down and being transformed by allowing God to renew our minds, this is where we get that by testing, you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. Whenever we come to these points of failure, we get to see that God is working out things in our life that we would have never imagined to have happen. Whenever I was in college, I went through so many different majors, and I just had no idea what I was supposed to do. Little did I know God was working in the back of my mind, in the back of my heart. He was working this plan out for me, and he was using those trials. He was using those failures. He was using all of that to grow who I was. And not in my own ability, like, hey, you messed up, you didn't do what you were supposed to do, but that's okay. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I want to rephrase. What doesn't kill you strengthens your faith. The little failures in our life should be strengthening to our faith, because then through that testing we can discern what is the will of God. Okay, I want to be a computer programmer, but I hate math. Okay, that's not God's will for my life. I have discerned now that that's not God's will for my life, because I find zero joy in it. I find zero fulfillment in it. Not only is it difficult, I just don't like it. I don't want to be involved in that at all. Okay, that's not it. El Camino. I want to drive El Camino. And look back now, I'm realizing that was not God's plan for me. I'm discerning that that is not the will of God for me to own an El Camino. Now that may change, but right now I could say with pretty much certainty, yeah, no El Camino for me. But through all of these failures, through all of these decision factors in our lives, the different events that happen that change who we are, we can look back at those failures and not die in that moment and say, oh my goodness, my life is completely over, and everything hinges on whether or not I'm going to pass this test, whether or not I'm going to get this job, whether or not I'm going to date this girl, whether or not my family's going to allow me to do this thing. Our entire lives don't hinge on that. Our lives hinge on the will of God. And this is where I really want you to hang your hat tonight. What is good and acceptable and perfect? Again, I'm not saying this is exactly what this verse is saying exactly, but think about it this way. What is good and acceptable and perfect? That's kind of three different words. Let me tell you, steak. Let's go with steak here, okay? Steak. Medium well steak, it's good. It's a little dry for me. It's not the best. It needs a little A1. You got to doctor it up a little bit. The sides kind of build up on that. You got a salad and a baked potato. Makes a medium well steak a little better because there are other things to look forward to. So it's good. A little more acceptable than that, though, would be a medium steak. Just juicy, and the sides kind of build on that too. Need a little seasoning. Maybe if you get an edge part, you might dip it in some steak sauce. That's a little more acceptable. But what's perfect is a medium rare steak. Pink throughout, so juicy. I could throw away the sides. I don't even need the sides. If you give me a medium rare steak, it doesn't even have to be seasoned. A little salt on the outside is really all it takes for a medium rare steak to be just perfect. It's the same way with our life. There are things in our life that are good. There are things in our life that are more acceptable. And then there are things in our life that are perfect. Exactly how God planned it. Exactly what he wants for us. They are perfect, and it's his will in your life that's perfect. Not our plans, not our goals, not our will, not the things that we want to do, which it's okay to set those goals in mind. It's okay to say, hey, I really do want to live in Texas. I want to be a computer programmer. I want to drive El Camino, and on the side I want to tutor English. It's okay to say that. But don't hinge your life on those little things. Pastor Travis said something a couple Sundays ago, and then last Sunday again, and man, it just really stood out to me whenever he said it. He said, for a Christian, for a believer, 80 years of suffering is a drop in the bucket compared to an eternity with Jesus. These little events in our life are not the end of the world. It's not going to be the end of who I am if something that I planned doesn't work out. It's not going to be the end of the world. And if it is, that's a drop in the bucket. The little suffering that I go through here is nothing compared to the eternal love of Jesus Christ and God the Father. I just want to encourage you, especially now, when you're looking back. Some of you're missing graduation in the sense that you wanted to be a part of graduation. I realize that they're doing something for you, and that's awesome. By the way, we're going to do something for you in a couple Sundays. For those of you who are seniors, you need to get the Google Docs form or the Google form and fill it out and let us know just fill out the information on the Google form. You'll see there's a link below. But we want to honor you in one of our Sunday services, not this Sunday, but next Sunday. But back it up. You may not get to graduate the way that you wanted to. You may not get the job that you wanted. Your parents may not stick together. You may have to move. There are certain things in life that just feel devastating. They feel like the end of the world, but it is a drop in the bucket. It's nothing compared to the eternal love of Jesus Christ. The grace that he poured out on the cross. His free gift of forgiveness to any who believe. If that's you tonight, reach out to one of your friends who's a leader in our student ministry. Reach out to me. Reach out to our Connect Group leader. Make a comment here. Post on Instagram. Get on our Facebook page. Text somebody. Call somebody and let us know. Because through the trials in our life, through the small failures, that allows us to discern, decide, see God's perfect will for our life, his good, acceptable, and perfect will. I love you guys. I'm so ready to see you here in just, I'm praying just a few weeks. A few weeks. Camp's coming up. We got forms that are going to be, you'll see there's some announcements at the end. Stick with us to the end. There'll be some announcements there. Falls Creek forms that are going to be available in the office starting tomorrow. And I'm going to have to look at my calendar here for a second. That's tomorrow, May the 7th. May the 7th, starting tomorrow, May the 7th. In our office, you can come pick up Falls Creek forms, parents, students, come pick those up. We'll try and make those available online too. Just watch for the announcements at the end of this video. And there will be a lot of things that are coming up, and we're so excited to be able to get back together. It's been so long since we've been able to hang out, and I miss you all. I'm praying for you all like crazy. I'm hoping that you're encouraging your friends. I'm hoping that you all are taking these videos and doing something with them. Don't forget, we got a couple of Falls Creek themes that we're looking at. We watched those videos, or we did that last week. So if you need to, go back and watch last week's videos. There are 6 themes there that we're talking about doing. Next week, we're going to narrow it down. We're going to give you just a couple and let you choose between those. But man, I'm so excited about Falls Creek, and it's going to be different. It's going to be a lot different, but it's going to be awesome. So I hope you're a part of that. I hope you're inviting your friends. And again, love you guys, gals. I'll talk to you soon. Here are your very quick announcements. Number 1, if you're a senior, fill out the Google form below. You'll see there's a link there. Click that. Make sure you fill it out. Get it filled out quick, okay? And then at the end, you'll see there's a thing that says email 2 pictures to Joshua. It's josh@fbcblanchard.org. Get that sent in as soon as you can for our senior recognition service. Announcement number 2, Falls Creek forms are going to be available in the office starting tomorrow. They'll be available online starting tomorrow. The cost is $60. The dates are July 19th through the 22nd. I hope you're as excited as I am. And then one last thing that you need to know about is May the 31st. We have a church-wide event coming up on May 31st. This is just a teaser. I just want to give you a little piece of the pie here so you go, what's going on? I'm so excited about what's going to be happening on May 31st. It's going to be good. We want you and your families to be a part of it, so keep tuning in, check up for updates. I'm excited about it. Our staff met about it today. We're really excited about it and looking forward to tell you all about it, but just plan May 31st to be a part of our church-wide event. I love you all. I'll see you soon.